नमस्ते मित्रों, खुश रहिए. I JVN Muskan Kumari from the Department of Science and Technology, and I'm working here as an assistant professor in Vidyapeeth University and Faculty of Education. So today in this session, basically I will discuss the basic overview about the cloud computing, isn't it? What are the benefits of cloud computing is already discussed in the just previous session. But in this session, I will already discuss about this all the things. So what is the cloud computing and how cloud computing are works, isn't it? How they are inherited, what are the properties are inherited by the cloud computing should become so popular nowadays. Clear, so many companies and IT sectors and many of the people also prefer the cloud computing technology. Clear, so we will discuss these all things in today's session. So before starting this session, I just want to share something. Files that regarding that files, we can easily understand the each and every topics which is related with this session will be very clear to all of you. Okay, so I'm just sharing that file. Hold 1 minute. So this is the files which I have shared with you, and it's well known to all of you that your course name is Basic Introduction to Computing, Cloud Computing, and Web Intelligence and Big Data. Okay, so I have already discussed about the all the sessions of the grid computing is already completed, and next move to the cloud computing. And this I have just completed one session, that is the basic overview of your cloud computing. But here now the cloud computing, how the cloud computing are works and what are the various advantages and disadvantages of cloud computing. Clear? So what? Cloud computing basically can be described as a virtual tool which is used for shared resources and offering the compute. Compute means here the storage, isn't it? Storage and the resources. And offering you the compute, storage, database, network services that can be rapidly deployed at scale. Clear? So there are two huge factors that have contributed to the success of cloud computing. First will be your technological advancement, like the virtualization of compute instances and abundant high speed internet access. And second will be the widespread investment, which is like the globally in constantly building and updating the infrastructures, which results in economy economies of scale. Because of these factors, cloud computing can take all the ingredients that make the data centers and also make all these resources available to consumers on an as needed basis. Clear? So now, if you talk about the how cloud computing works here, so to understand the working of the cloud computing, it is very easier to divide it into the two sections. Clear? So the front end and the back end. So what? What is the working of front end and what is the working of back end? They are the both end are connected to each other through the network. Usually the internet, and the front end is the side of the computer, user or client. The back end is the cloud section of the system. Here, as you can see in this diagram, that this is the basic structures of cloud computing. As you can see here, the back end is the cloud computing, and here you can see that the applications and platforms and infrastructures. Clear? So these all are used in us. Cloud computing firstly gives you the three services. One is the infrastructure as a services, platform as a services, application as a services. Clear? So this is in your cloud services, and here all the devices which are connected as a front end to the. So the front end consists the client's computer or computer network. Also the applications essential to access the cloud system. It is not necessary that the cloud computing system have the same user interface on the back end of the cloud technology system. There are various computers, servers and data storage system which makes up the clouding also. And a cloud computing system also could potentially include any any computer programs which is related from the data processing to the video game, and generally each applications will have its own dedicated servers also, isn't it? So I hope you understand that there is the cloud computing basically works on the two end. First is the front end and the back end. Back end is working as a cloud, and front end all the users who are trying to interacting with that, and all the services which are trying to interact with the cloud. Okay? So what will be the benefits, or benefits in the sense you can say like the advantages of the cloud computing and disadvantages of cloud computing. Okay, so if we talk about the a reduced need for on-site IT staff, what does this mean? During the whenever the cloud technology is adopted by the multiple peoples or the companies, so it's very easy to working with that services which they have gained from the cloud. So there is no requirement of more IT purpose who is basically used for to maintain the data center. Clear? So here the reduced need for on-site IT staff is just reducing in the company. So no on-site data center means no on-site IT staff for the data center. This is well known that no on-site data center means if there is no any data center is basically available for the companies in their own companies, so there is no any required of the people who will maintain that server, isn't it, that data center. So no on-site data center, no on-site IT staffs for the data center, and cloud service providers have simplified this part of the equations by providing the 99.99% uptime service level agreements. However, you will need to have a staff that understands how to migrate to the cloud, manage its resources, and contribute to the new DevOps needs in the new deployment. Okay? Now, if we talk about the second point, cost effective, that is as a advantage of the cloud computing, is what? It is possible to buy only the cloud service you need and have the options to scale up the latter and when necessary, such as during seasonal peaks. This means you don't have to make huge investment in the physical equipment, and that didn't require if you are not investment in the physical equipment, they you haven't need to maintain that all the things. Clear? So reduce of the physical investment for the any equipment is reducing of your maintenance cost. So this is a cost effective. Now, if we talk about the constant innovation, then what does this mean? Constant innovation. Cloud offerings are constantly improving to be faster and cheaper. So, for example, Amazon Web Services EC2 instances have had many generational changes over the years, and since usage is a la carte where fully on demand and prepared for short amount of time, user can always benefit by upgrading seamlessly to the newest instance types. And in addition, new services are constantly offered, such as improved support for machine learning or on working across different cloud providers. These providers easy access to the latest advancement without large amount of initial expenditure. Clear? Now, if we talk about the backup and disaster recovery, so cloud environment offers intensive ways to easily set up the backup and disaster recovery, which benefit from the user not needing to purchase new infrastructures. You can make your data redundant across several geographical locations and areas, and also leverage different speed and cost options for varying levels of backup to customize your disaster recovery plans also. Clear? Suppose if there is any disaster, With the efforts, then you must have the backup plans of all the data which is beneficial for you. Okay? Now, if you talk about the shared responsibilities model, then what is the importance of shared responsibilities model? So, cloud service providers must meet stringent compliance needs in order to prove they are safe for use by million-dollar enterprises or governments. Consumers benefit from this emphasis on security, but they must also be aware that they have a part as well. Companies like the Amazon Web Services will secure the cloud itself, and the customer must secure what is in the cloud, namely their product, using their implementation of the cloud providers' infrastructures also. Now, if you talk about the some risk of cloud computing technology that will be considered into the disadvantages of the cloud computing. Okay, so large companies often require hundreds of digital storage devices, and cloud computing needs at least twice the number of storage devices to keep the client information stored, isn't it? So that's because this device occasionally break down. A cloud system makes copy of client's information to store into the another devices. This method of making copies of data as a backup is called the redundancy. Here is the one chances you have discussed here, that like backup and disaster recovery. It means you are making the multiple same data, or you are storing the multiple geographical locations. The storing of data is same. Clear? So this is becomes the also disadvantages of your the cloud computing. Why? Because they are occupying the more spaces, but the spaces is occupy the data, and which is same at most of the geographical locations. So this is the wastage of the space, and that data is the redundant data. Clear? So this is becomes the disadvantages of the cloud computing. Clear? So students, I hope that you will very well understand with all the topics which I have discussed today with you. The how the cloud computing is basically work, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of cloud. Okay, so please read this session also by multiple standard like the introduction to the cloud computing, and also use the multiple websites through which you can easily gain the contents for reading purpose and understanding purpose to improve your knowledge also. Clear? So online, and the more questions will be arises from this session is like what do you mean by the cloud computing, what are the working of cloud computing. Please define this in the points, then you have to write the points, and what are the advantages and disadvantages, they must you have write the points. Okay. Okay, so I hope you will get. And in case if you have any problem in this session, then please mention your query into the comment section box, through which I will resolve your query to the next session. Okay, thank you.